Hi, I'm Lisa from Perth Sewing Centre in Malaga, Western Australia. Today's video we're going to be looking at how to use the TL-2200 QVP edition. Now this is from Juki and it's a purely straight stitch sewing machine. It has a nice wide throat space. It has a needle threader and it has some great accessories that come with the machine as a standard. So I'll be going through the accessories that come with it and the features that it has and how to use it. But mainly people are buying it for bag making, quilting, general dressmaking. It's a great all-rounder. I will often go to this one instead of my walking foot machine because it has great foot clearance, so thick fabrics will go through there nice and clearly and easily, and literally it sews through thicknesses like butter. So I am well impressed with this machine. I hope you are too. Happy watching. So a quick explanation of the accessories, which the instruction manual for the TL-2200 QVP Mini is on page 5. They have the foot control. The foot control is a standard foot control that you can actually wind the cord up. So once you have finished with it, you can wind the cord and put this end piece, the jack, into the hole. So that's nice and easy to store away. Normally you press on this part to make your machine go. However, when you pivot back on your foot control, that will cause the machine to cut the thread. So basically, if your foot is flat onto the foot control and you pivot backwards with the heel pressing down on this part of the foot, it will trim the thread. So if you have a look at number 2 of your accessories, you get a little rubber stopper. The little rubber stopper simply goes onto the bottom of your foot control, like so, and that will stop the foot control from being able to pivot back. So I cannot pivot back on that foot control, so therefore I won't accidentally trim the threads. I really like the trim feature, however some people just can't get used to it, so this will stop that happening. So that was the rubber on step number 2. Part number 3 is the wide table, which I will show you on the machine because it's a bit big to fit into this picture. So I'll show you that shortly. Number 4 is a little multi-tool. It's a little screwdriver for needles, for the needle plate. It's nice and nifty to be able to get into small nooks and crannies. So that screwdriver is very, very handy. You also get a standard screwdriver as well, just in case you need one. You have a cleaning brush, so let's use that. You do have bobbins. Now with your bobbins, they are the metal bobbins and they are the narrower ones. So don't use a plastic bobbin, don't use wider bobbins, use the bobbins that are recommended to come with this machine. So those are those. You do have an oil bottle. I'll show you how to oil your machine shortly. You have a packet of needles that come with it. Now this machine takes HA by 1 needles. They are a standard universal needle. However, you can use the high-speed needles as well from Schmetz. They're HL by 5s. You can get them in different sizes depending on your fabric that you're sewing. Good needles to use. You do get a cover, it's just a soft cover with it, and a standard power cord. Your knee lifter is so handy and I really strongly advise you give it a go. So you just move your knee across to the right and that causes the foot to go up and down. So as you push to the right, your foot goes up. As you release it back to the left, the foot goes down. The rolled hem foot is a really nifty little foot. It takes a little practice to get it happening. I might do a video on that one later, but that's not going to be in this video. But this is just to show you what the rolled hem foot looks like that comes with the machine. You get an adjustable zipper foot. The adjustable zipper foot enables you to go either to the left or the right of your foot. Because you don't have a needle position on a straight sewer, you're able to adjust this foot. So this screws onto your machine and the foot simply moves from left to right and you do the screw back up. Number 16 is your walking foot. So your walking foot, as your needle goes up and down, the screw sits in the fork here and that tells your little feed dogs here to go up and down. So that means that it will evenly feed the fabric through at the same time, both top and bottom. So that's a great foot, and that comes with your machine as well. Number 17 is the quilt guide for even feed foot. Now this is really good. Quite often you're wanting parallel lines on the top of fabric. This is designed to actually give you a guide to follow. So I highly recommend this one. It is an option for some of the Jukis, but it does come with the 2200 mini. So that's well worth getting. You can see there that it's showing it's attached to the actual walking foot. Number 18, 19 and 20 are all free motion feet. So number 18, you've got your quilting foot with the open toe, which is this one here. So that has the open toe so that you can see where you're going quite easily. Number 19 is your 1/4 inch foot, and then you've got number 20, 1/5 of an inch quilting foot. 21 is your compensating foot. Now your compensating presser foot means that it compensates for thick edges. So if you're doing a pair of jeans, the thick seam will be sewing through there, but it will compensate for the fact that there's no fabric under this side. So it's actually effectively compensating for the thickness. Number 22 is your 1/4 inch presser foot or 7mm presser foot. Has a little guide on there, so from the center of the foot to that guide it is 1/4 of an inch. So that is generally the feet and accessories that come with your machine. So did you know that the knee lift stores neatly away underneath the table? So if you want to take it to class or you're taking it to a retreat, you simply clamp this underneath and pulls off cleanly. So underneath your table you have little legs that simply pop out. Pop those all out there like so. So there's 6 legs, pop them all out and slide your table on, like so. A lovely wide space there. Let's have a look at how the knee lift goes on. So we have our knee lift. The end has 2 prongs that go into the hole at the front of the machine. You do have to make sure that your presser lever has room to go on. Move your machine so that the feet of your table are just sitting to the edge, and that way your knee lift has room to go in and has some space between the table. Has space between the table and the knee lift. Now it is quite loose. Just ensure that it's pushed all the way in so that when you pull it over, your presser foot raises up and down. So when we're ready to plug the machine in, you do have your figure 8 power cord that simply goes in here. You've got your on switch, which you switch on. Simply take out the jack from the foot control and unwind, and that plugs in underneath the power cord there. Make sure it's all the way in, unwind and pop your foot control on the floor to sew. Okay, so let's start to get to know the dials on your machine. So we simply have your stitch length adjustment dial. Stitch length for normal stitching is anywhere between 2 and 2.5, is for general normal stitching. However, your range goes from 0 through to 6. The higher the number, the longer the stitch. If you're top stitching bags and things like that, 4 is a great top stitch, depending on the thread and the look that you're after. Your needle up down button, when you press your needle, that button, it will drop the needle to the down position. If you press it again, it will raise it up. So every time the switch is pressed, the needle goes up or down. If you hold this button down, the needle will continually move slowly. So that's a great way of using at the end of the fabric. So you can just hold your finger on there and it just ever so carefully sews along. So individually, up or down, or continually hold for a slow movement. Your reverse lever is here. Your reverse lever simply goes backwards, so hold it down for as long as you wish to go backwards for. Usually performed at the beginning and the end of your stitching. At the top of the machine over here, you do have a presser foot regulator. So this is basically the pressure of your foot. So you can see there is a gauge here. If we have a look a little bit closer, you can see that there's a gauge here. Now as I turn the dial, that gauge moves. So I'll just get a view of both. So when I turn it anti-clockwise, it takes the little blue lever up. So that is reducing the amount of pressure on the foot. So that's quite loose. However, if I turn it clockwise and I move it below the line, like that's normal there, but I'll keep turning it down, that is increasing the pressure of the foot. So that's actually a little bit more hard to raise up. So that simply means that you are increasing the pressure that that foot is putting onto your fabric. So if you find your fabric is slipping, you may need to increase your pressure. If you find that you've got a thick fabric that's not feeding through evenly, you may need to reduce the pressure. This one here drops your feed dogs down. So if I raise the foot up and raise our needle up, you'll see your feed dogs are raised just above the needle plate there. When I switch the switch across so that the triangles are under the line, that means your feed dogs have dropped down. Now when you turn your machine, like your flywheel, and you run your machine, your feed dogs do not come up. That's for free motion embroidery or free motion quilting. However, if you want to do normal sewing, you would have them come up above the line. Now don't worry that they haven't come up. Once you start sewing, they will engage and come up. This at the front here is your needle threader, so I'll show you that when we're threading the needle, but that is your needle threader there at the front. Okay, so this here is called a sub-tension knob. So normally I have mine flush, so that the metal dial is even, the metal rod there is even with the edge of the dial. It's a fine tuner, so you pass the thread between the discs here at the back, you pass the threads through there and it just fine tunes the tension. The standard thread tension is achieved when the end of the face screw and the center of the knob are flush, so that's standard. Let's wind a bobbin. So if you're using a normal cone of thread, it simply goes onto here like so and up and over. This is your bobbin winder guide. Now it comes in front and around the back, so we simply go in front and around the back. Now some videos will show you can thread it through the hole at the back. If you're finding that it's not winding evenly, I've never had a problem with going the way that the recommended instruction manual recommends. Use the bobbins that have a little notch in them. They will generally have a notch on either side. That notch engages with a little pin that's in here. So I do find that if you simply thread the thread up through the hole, like so, and then pop it onto the bobbin winder, turn it and it will slightly drop down. So you'll notice when you put it on, it locks into place. If it's not engaged, it turns until it's locked into place. Once it's locked, you can then slide that over and simply put your foot on the foot control and wind your bobbin. I hold the thread here and it will snap off, like so. To access the bobbin case, you have a little trapdoor here and a trapdoor here. Okay, so your bobbin case is here. To remove the bobbin case, you have a latch. You pull the latch towards you. So this latch here pulls towards you, and then you're able to pull that bobbin case out. When putting your bobbin in, you have an anti-spin spring that stops your bobbin from spinning around. Not sure if you can see that there. So when you put your bobbin in, the bobbin goes in so that it will turn clockwise. So you place it in with your thread coming off and it turns clockwise. Bring the thread around through this point here. Your thread comes up in and then around and clicks in. Make sure it clicks in and is in this point here. When you hold on to the latch, your bobbin will not fall out, so it won't fall out. So hold on to the latch and that helps you put it into your machine nice and easily. So open up the trapdoors and with your latch held, so I'm holding the latch, bring the thread out of the way and simply put your bobbin case in. So I'll just get a close-up of that now. When you put it in so the bobbin case is flush, and then close the latch and double check that the notch in the middle is flush. It must not be sitting out. So it must not be sitting like that. It must be pushed all the way in. And then that thread there can just simply stay in there and we'll pull that up. We can then close the latch here and close the latch here. Now there's a good little guide for bobbin winding in your instruction book. It will show you the threads wound evenly, and you can see here that you can adjust the little dial. It's referring to this at the top of your machine. So you'll notice at the back there is a little screw here, and depending on how your bobbin is winding, if it's winding up unevenly, you can adjust the height of this to compensate and make it wind evenly. Now they do recommend to turn your machine off when you are threading your machine. Let's pretend that I have. Okay, so for threading the machine, the first step is to pop your thread on here, pass it up and over this thread guide here. So going straight over, and then we go down to the machine. The first point that we thread it through is this, and it goes from top to bottom. And then it simply loops up and through from top to bottom again. So it should do a nice little flow, top to bottom, and then top to bottom again. So it does 3 loops. When using a thread such as nylon thread, which slips easily out of the path, this is the way we would recommend it. However, when using a standard sewing thread like this one, we don't need to put it through the middle. Then it goes over the top so that it passes between the spring there. Now you simply pass it on this side and pull the thread all around and pull it so that it comes this side of the spring. See how it's over this spring here? Then it comes under into this guide here, up on the right hand side and down so that it's going through this guide. We then go back through this guide here and then into this guide here. And then let's have a look at the needle threader. Okay, so after this guide here, you thread it into this guide. So hold the thread out here. Pull your needle thread all the way down, and then bring the thread back underneath like so. Hold a little bit of tension onto the thread, and as you let go of the needle threader, it will pull a loop back, and then you pull the excess through. So please note that your thread threads from the left to the right, and the flat part of the needle is facing the inside of your machine. So the flat side of the needle is facing away from your bobbin case. Now, while you're holding your thread here, you can press your needle down and needle up, and that will pick up your bobbin thread from the bottom. Place your threads neatly under the back and out to the back of the foot. Now you have got a fast and slow speed on the machine, so you've got a speed control, fast or slow. So the rabbit is fast, the tortoise is slow. However, even if you put it on the fastest speed possible, you will find that your machine has a very, very good speed control. So I've just put my foot very, very gently on the foot control, or as you go faster, the more you put your foot on the foot control, the faster it goes. So there is also at the back of the machine the presser foot lever that will also raise and lower your foot. Your needle will finish in the down position. You can pivot your fabric. Even if your needle is in the down position, you can still hit your scissor trim and it will cut your threads both top and bottom. There is information in your instruction manual about the proper thread tension and what to set this on, so have a little read through on the tension. Just note that when your foot is in the down position, it shows a lower tension. When your foot is in the up position, it shows a higher tension. It's ever so slight, but just note when you're looking at your tension, always check it with the foot in the same position. See here, when you turn the dial, it moves the blue line. So that's how you can know what tension you set your machine onto. So yeah, as you turn your dial, that blue line will move. Let's look at lubricating your machine. So at these arrow points here, apply a drop of oil. Use the sewing machine oil that was supplied with your machine. It's a normal sewing machine oil. Don't use an excessive amount of oil on the needle bar or around the hook. Just a couple of drops is all that you need to do. Always do a little test though after oiling as well, because you don't want any of that oil getting onto your garment. And let's not forget to oil inside the hook. So the little diagram there shows you how your hook should look and where to drop that drop of oil. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please contact us at Perth Sewing Centre Malaga on either phone or email, and we're more than happy to answer any questions. Bye for now.